Welcome to Money Mode, the channel that makes money talk less confusing and way more useful. Let's get into it. 10 years ago, a cup of coffee cost you 60 baht. Today, that same cup costs you almost double. Your salary went up too, maybe, but somehow it never feels like enough. Have you ever wondered why everything keeps getting more expensive year after year? The answer has a name, and once you understand it, you will never look at your wallet the same way again. This is the story of inflation. Inflation is simply the rate at which the general price level of goods and services rises over time. When inflation goes up, each unit of your currency buys fewer goods and services than it did before. In other words, your money is quietly losing its power, even while the number in your bank account stays exactly the same. So why does this happen? Economists usually point to three main forces. The first is demand pull inflation, when too much money chases too few goods. Imagine an entire city wanting the same limited number of houses. Sellers realize buyers will pay more, so prices climb higher. The second force is cost push inflation. This occurs when the cost of producing goods increases, perhaps because of rising oil prices, higher wages, or supply chain disruptions. Businesses do not want to absorb these costs, so they pass the burden on to consumers. The third, and often most powerful force, is the expansion of the money supply. When a central bank prints more currency or makes borrowing cheaper, more money flows into the economy. If the amount of goods and services does not grow at the same pace, prices are pushed upward simply because there is more money competing for the same things. Governments track inflation using a tool called the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. This index tracks price changes of a fixed basket of everyday items, such as food, housing, transportation, and healthcare. When the CPI rises, it tells us that the cost of living is increasing across the board. A small amount of inflation, usually around 2% per year, is actually considered healthy for an economy. It encourages people to spend and invest rather than hoard cash. But when inflation spirals out of control, the consequences can be devastating. History has shown us extreme cases, sometimes called hyperinflation, where prices doubled not every year, but every single day. People rushed to spend their salaries within hours of being paid because by the next morning, that same money could buy only a fraction of what it could before. There is also a sneakier version of inflation that many people never notice, sometimes called shrinkflation. Instead of raising the price tag, companies quietly shrink the size of the product. The chocolate bar looks the same, the price looks the same, but there is suddenly less chocolate inside. It is inflation wearing a clever disguise. History gives us powerful lessons about what happens when inflation is left unchecked. In the 1970s, a global oil crisis sent energy costs soaring almost overnight, pushing the price of nearly everything else up with it. Decades later, other economies experienced even more extreme versions of this story, where a wheelbarrow of cash was barely enough to buy a loaf of bread. These moments remind us that money only holds value as long as people trust the system behind it. So what does inflation actually mean for you personally? It means the cash sitting quietly in your savings account is slowly losing value every single year, even if the number on the screen never changes. It means your future plans, whether that is buying a home, funding an education, or retiring comfortably, all become more expensive the longer you wait. This is exactly why so many people choose not to let their money sit still. Instead, they look for ways to grow their wealth at a pace that outruns inflation. Some invest in assets like stocks or real estate, which historically tend to rise in value over the long term. Others diversify across different types of investments to manage risk while still working to protect their purchasing power. The key lesson here is awareness. Inflation is not something happening far away in economic textbooks. It is happening right now, quietly, in every grocery bill and every rent payment. Understanding how it works is the first step toward making smarter decisions with your money. Before you go, remember that this video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Always do your own research or speak with a licensed professional before making investment decisions. If this explanation helped you understand why prices keep climbing every year, give this video a like and subscribe for more stories that make finance easy to understand. What is one thing you have noticed becoming more expensive lately? Tell us in the comments below.